In this village doomed to be forgotten, like many in Asturias, there was only one family left. But two young and brave girls have come back to give it a second chance. Surrounded by mountains and nature, they are restoring their ancestors' house. They tell me with excitement, more than experience, how they are rebuilding and making a home out of a legacy that took so much effort for their ancestors to build. Those who lived here and left their mark on the people of this village because of their big hearts and support for others. The oldest neighbor tells me that he gets emotional seeing the youth return, those who once populated this place and are no longer here.
I'm happier than ever.
Yeah, huh?
Yes, they're really good girls.
They're really nice, honestly, you have to admit it. Thanks to them, villages like this regain some hope amid so much neglect. How's it going, YouTube family? Well, today I'm in the countryside again because I have a very special story to bring to the channel. They're two very young girls who have decided to return to the countryside to maintain or rebuild their great-grandmother's house. I have them here with me, and I want you to introduce yourselves, girls. Who are you?
Hello, I'm Virginia.
And I'm Andrea.
And look, we've actually brought here to the little town just above ours because this part highlights what you often show in your videos, the rural side that's slowly fading and being abandoned. This is my great-grandfather's house. This is where our story begins, who fell in love with my great-grandmother from the village below. It's actually there where she isn't, so we're restoring the house. This village is beautiful, but unfortunately most houses are closed or have been like this for a long time.
Honestly, yes, this house here, for example, to me, guys, honestly, I love looking at it. What authentic colors. Look, they still have a little ironing board and all those old details, huh? Wow, impressive. Honestly, you brought me to a great place because it's a true reflection of, man, all these things that belong to our ancestors, like the Oreos, the Paneras, have been forgotten. And many of them, well, you know, they're no longer getting a second chance, a second life, right? So to speak. What was it that moved you the most to come back here?
Well, the main driving force definitely and continuously was Andrea.
Basically because of what you said about depopulation. And it's a shame to lose our legacy, both family, cultural, and heritage, and for it to be forgotten. After all of this, like many other villages, like Valedor, like the entire rural area, is being lost because of so-called civilization.
Yes, people move to the cities, right? And they forget about this. I'm really surprised that two girls so young decided to come back, honestly. It's very uncommon. I know very few cases like that. Honestly, let's show this if you don't mind. I see some details here. Look at this area, for example. This must have been a stable, right, girls?
No, honestly, I have no idea.
You don't know, huh? But it looks like it.
The stable could be over there, and this is likely the front of the house because of the door size.
Maybe this was a house. Impressive, right? Look, a tree has grown. Right here inside. And it's already quite a big tree. I'm not sure if this was a house or stable. You can't really tell now, especially since there's another one right here. This one is really in a state, whew. Well, honestly, I don't think it's salvageable anymore.
And actually, if you look, I just found it really curious that the door you see inside is exactly like the ones we have at home.
Wow, impressive, huh? How many stories does this house have? The kitchen is over there. You can see it from the front door. Well, from where the front door used to be, I've noticed something, girls. A detail you might not have seen before. Look at what's here. There's a stone from the year 1800 that has a U on it, a cross, an S, from 1800, huh? Amazing. I mean, these towns go back to times already centuries old, huh?
Yes, because, for example, the records of our house down below, at least from when they started living there, are already from 1800 and something like a plan. Well, from that same era. Or they are towns with a lot of history.
Yes.
We have a photo. I just need to show you from here.
Yes.
There was life, actually.
Let's see.
Their grandparents, right?
My great-great-grandparents.
Wow, look at that photo.
The photo was likely taken at the entrance of the house we saw in Maron. It's just that, as far as I know, the house was renovated later on. It looks like it's at the entrance, and you can see the greenhouse.
Wow, impressive.
Of course.
With this photo, it's really taken here at this door, right?
Yes, it really looks like it, definitely.
Yes, no, I think so, absolutely. Because look, right? I'll overlay the image again for you now that we're here. And it really looks like it's this right here, and the photo was taken here. Impressive. From this angle right here, specifically from here, look.
It's really intense.
It's taken from here.
Those were my great-great-grandparents, or it's a very old photo?
They were your great-grandfather's parents.
My great-great-grandparents.
Great-great-grandparents, huh?
Yeah. If you want, let's go to our house now so you can start exploring the town.
I'm looking forward to it, so let's go over.
Well, look, Alvaro, we've just arrived at what will be our house. Over here, first of all, in view of the stone, we have the stable. In the past, well, you had a couple of little cows, white rabbits with red eyes. I always remember my mother. And maybe a horse, since great-grandfather loved them.
In fact, they used to tie it up right there where...
Yes.
They used to tie the horse up here?
Yes.
Hi, Mule too. He also had a donkey. And, well, that's it. From here, in the end, my great-grandfather fell in love and came here. We're very close to where we were before, and that's where the story began.
I imagine that in these villages, in the past, there were no roads. The road must have arrived relatively recently, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, I guess.
Yes.
Well, that's the story for most villages. You have to remember that back then, people here were pretty isolated. I mean, I can totally imagine the donkeys and horses around here, walking with a little donkey with the cart, carrying milk and materials. Do you have any memories of that? Did you ever get to experience any of that?
I already knew the road, or what was closest to a road, but I think it was more like a gravel road and so on, because I remember going down by car, and the car would go from the road, from the city asphalt to the rattling of the car on.
Here we have another photo.
Let's see.
As a little girl in Virginia walking with her grandparents.
Wow, impressive, huh?
It's the same one.
These were your grandparents?
My grandmother grew up in this house as the daughter of my great-grandparents. And my grandmother was also...
She looks tiny in that picture, huh?
Yes.
Wow, seeing this, I imagine it brings back some nostalgia for you.
Yes.
That was, I imagine, also what moved you, right? To when... Because how did the story really go? What was the moment when you both decided to come here? How was it?
Well, honestly, the one who pushed the idea the most was Andrea, because I've lived in a neighborhood my whole life with the school right there, the high school right there, the supermarket right there, the doctor right there. The bus and train are right next to me too. So for me, coming here was kind of unthinkable, because here, in the end, if you don't have a car, you either walk for hours.
Of course.
Or you just don't get there.
I can imagine.
So that was really hard for me. My rigid way of thinking was unworkable. Andrea is persistent, and I care about her.
Well, Andrea also has a very unique story, because Andrea, you grew up, or you are family from an area where I've already recorded, right?
Yes.
From Valedor.
My grandmother, well, on both sides, both from my mother and my father, I am from Valedor. I am from Tremado, from Villa de Justo, and from Villasonte.
To put it in perspective, for those unfamiliar with Asturias, you come from one of its most isolated and sparsely populated areas.
Yes. Yes, in fact, if you get sick, really sick, they have to come get you by helicopter. The ambulance can't come.
Yes, it's impressive. I've filmed around there, and every time you cross the Puerto del Palo, you literally feel like you're in another world. So you were kind of the driving force, because since you already knew what life in the countryside was like and what it meant to be isolated, that didn't scare you, right?
It's true that I used to spend summers there, some summers, especially in Tremado. For example, I'm from Lugo de Llanera, and there's civilization there too.
Yes.
But one thing that makes me really sad, and I really care about heritage, and these things, like everything going away, everything being lost and forgotten, it makes me feel bad, honestly. And it was...
How nice.
I didn't want Virginia to go through what I did, like in another house in Villasonte that burned down with my sister almost inside.
Wow.
Well, it's good that they got her out, but it was something I didn't want her to see.
Of course.
Also because it's something she'll have forever, and...
You feed off each other, which is great. How long have you been here?
Well, it's going to be 2 years.
2 years already, huh? Well, I see that you've already restored the little house, or was it like this when you arrived?
No, it was more or less already. What you're gonna see is pretty much how it was, except for the living room, which we completely redid. And what one of my uncles did, for example, when we started coming back here, since the house was closed for a long time, was to paint. So since he's very handy, he gave it another coat of paint.
Add a bit of color to the house?
Yes, mostly to the window frames and so on because, well...
I have to tell you that I love it. I mean, these colors, it's like seeing the others, right? The color,
Yeah.
so beautiful. And seeing them so abandoned, and then seeing that they can be given a chance like the one we're seeing now.
Yeah.
I bet getting here was tough. What's the story of this house? What was it like when you first found it?
Well, I mean, we were spared from the first cleaning because right around that time, Andrea and I were just getting started and I wasn't here. So my mother and my aunt, after the house had been closed for a long time, it was like reopening it again. Just to come for a weekend or to come at some point or at least to live in it a little. So they came, but they stayed for hardly any time. That's why the house was closed for almost 7 years.
7 years closed?
Approximately, give or take. Well, they came just to check that nothing had fallen, that the fuses hadn't blown, and that at least everything was working a little bit.
Well, what happens in many houses?
Yes, totally.
People leaving town isn't new.
Yeah.
I imagine it's challenging for you to come to town, find the house closed for 7 years and say, okay, maybe it has leaks, maybe now.
Yes.
When we return and problems arise, how will we solve them? Did you know anything about this? Because this is something people always tell me, well, they have the opportunity because they already had the house. But sometimes it's not just about having the house, it's about whether I have the ability to repair that house.
There's something I really like to say, and it's that knowledge doesn't take up any space. And these houses also give you the opportunity to learn on the go because, I don't know, when we fixed up the living room, the walls weren't completely straight. But it doesn't matter. You see them and say, I did this myself. That's also a motivation to tell yourself, wow, how cool. The experience, and it's true that I always wanted to do something like this, like fixing it, something tangible, doing it yourself.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Via was more scared.
The closest I've ever been to reality is working with kids and doing crafts at summer camp. I mean, this summer I learned what cement is, how it's made and mixed, and its texture.
We could say that you're reinventing yourself.
No,
You're leaving your comfort zone, which is key to give your great-grandparents' house a new chance. That, for me, I say it from the heart, it moves me because, this is very important to me. All of this started because of this issue, because all the houses are being left abandoned. And seeing people like you who take a chance on this, who even though, well, okay, yes, you have the house, but now you have to get to work on it, right? You have to come here to live, to stay. I imagine that coming here for the first time, it must have been something, right?
The first time we came a bit unexpectedly. We came with 3 friends to eat, but the weather was terrible. It's Asturias, so it rained a lot. I said, let's go to the village. The first time Andrea came, I was really excited to show her this because in the end...
It's your story, of course.
Yeah, and from what I remember as teenagers, we rarely came here anymore. I remember coming here since I was little. My parents had beehives. So I remember coming here in September during honey harvesting season. In the small house behind you, we'd bring honey tools, open the hive, eat honey, and stay here, sleeping and everything. I loved it and was happy here. I moved from an apartment.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, no, who would have thought? No one in particular, because I'm afraid of spiders, and here I am, so just imagine.
Well, we're going to show you the stable, which is where we have the most work. And nothing, so that's it. This is what happens in every home. So, and you don't need to know about masonry, you don't need to know about construction. Learning is gradual, and if you want something, it comes at a cost, as they say.
Well, yes.
Everywhere, right? Here we have the drums anyway.
I imagine that right now you're using this more as storage, like...
Yes.
To see what you do, right?
Yes, it's being used as just for storage. I mean, we have the firewood there, stacked, all the roots. Because here, if you notice, we have a leak in the roof that keeps getting the wood wet. The wood starts to rot, and of course, it falls to the floor.
You obviously have major structural damage here.
Very significant.
For you, I imagine this is a big challenge, right? Because you have no idea, but how do you approach it?
Basically, I think this is the biggest investment we're going to have to make here, aside from just the work and labor. Well, I mean, after all, you have to work for everything, and I don't know what an apartment costs you. Half of it. You can invest in fixing the roof, fixing everything you can, because in the end, it's something you try to maintain over time. and for those who will come after. And look, for example, the image of the bottles also, we don't escape having something here of...
Damn, how beautiful.
Without touching?
Here, things were done this way before. Now we have the arrival. Actually, some of those bottles are still full. They're from the last batches my grandfather made when he was alive.
Wow.
And honestly, what Andrea told you about the roof and everything here, that's the most complex part financially and the biggest challenge. Because even though we're trying to do the rest of the things ourselves, learning from internet videos, asking someone or whatever, or asking for help and so on, that part, it's true, is the one we can get involved in the least because it's a really big job. And in the end, well, there's the risk that the rest of the structure could get damaged because ultimately these things weren't made with today's cement.
Of course.
They were made with the materials that were available at that time, even though the walls and everything else look great, actually.
Yes, they're good stone structures, and you have a very nice stone house. I'm seeing a lot of tools around here from your grandfather, your great-grandfather. There are a lot of things. This is a thought for people who I think are considering moving back to the rural area, but are afraid of the work or not knowing how to do things. For someone so young and inexperienced, you're still choosing to do this, likely out of love. Love for your ancestors and for creating a home for yourselves. It all blends together. This clearly shows you don't need everything perfect to come here, right? It begins with a lot of things lying around, and eventually you figure out how to reuse and make the most of them. You probably save things thinking you might need them later, right?
Yes, and the amount of things that we actually ended up getting rid of, because in the end, all the furniture, well, a lot of it was damaged, moth-eaten. We brought them here, and yes, they did take them to... We had to remove them because in the end, they weren't going to have a longer useful life.
Yes.
And here it's going to be a small part, but in the end, well, there are many things that, well, for example, arriving, I'm not sure I'll ever make cider, but I'd like to know how to preserve and make it. Basically because of what's left, because something remains here.
Also, for example, the chairs and all of this, we keep them for firewood later, don't think otherwise. Here, everything is reused or everything that's within our possibilities.
That's cool, girls, really. Hey, this is a dream for me. I wish I had the chance to restore a little house in my grandparents' village. I'll have to buy one when I find it. I still need to discuss this on the channel, but I need to be prepared since I've been looking into it. It's very complicated, right? It's not easy to find a house at a good price. In fact, I think at some point you reconsidered it, didn't you? You told me about should I come here or buy an apartment in the city? That's more like your story.
Yeah.
Right? How was that?
I'll start by saying that I'm a very fearful person, but fearful to the point that 4 years ago there was a spider over there and I wasn't sitting here because of it. So it's something that in the end you have to learn to live with and you just have to keep going. Well, by living through it, literally there's no other way to get rid of it than by experiencing it. So of course, at first I imagined this house always with affection, but only to visit for a weekend or during vacations, not to live here all the time. As I mentioned, I used to live in a neighborhood where I had everything.
Yes.
All my needs were met, so coming here was unthinkable. So, well, we ended up taking the plunge because the time came when we really wanted to become independent together and start to have to take another step in our relationship. And of course, it was a voucher to come here. At that time, we didn't have a car, so we depended on someone lending us one or someone bringing us here and picking us up with all the hassle that comes with it. So it was a voucher, and to be here, we needed a car. We looked at an apartment while checking rentals, and it was okay, but the rent was sky high. See, living in an apartment that isn't mine, I can't make it how I want because it won't ever be mine. I'm going to be putting money into a place where I don't see anything coming back. And besides that, I'm going to have to buy a car so I can come here on the weekends.
And carry out the project.
Exactly.
I think this is very common.
Yes.
We all experience this. I either need time to adjust or just show up as I am.
Yes.
Which is what you did. For me, that's really, I admire you, honestly. Not everyone dares to do this. It's not just any story where you come here to a house that's already fixed up. No, it's a house that still has a lot to be done.
Well, I have to say the other house, the one where...
The one we live in, it's not...
No, it's not that you couldn't live here perfectly well too, but
It's complicated but possible, that's fine.
You keep adapting until the end, right? I imagine so.
Of course, the house we live in is much better, right? There are a few small leaks, but it doesn't have the stream.
That this one has...
Here, when it rains, literally from inside the house, because, well, you'll see there that we have a door that gives access to the living area.
Just like in the rental house where I am right now, it's amazing. In fact, I sometimes have my horses in the stable, and being able to open that door and see them from the house is magical, you know?
I really like it.
Thinking about getting animals, it's something that, what do you think? I know you're focused on restoring the house, but since we talk about the future, have you considered having animals?
There's already a lot of wildlife here. We have a hamster, a turtle, 2 cats.
Ah, okay, we'll meet them now. Okay.
But as for big animals, so to speak, it's true that I really like horses. I've never had a horse. I don't know how to take care of a horse.
You learn just like I did.
Well, please, I mean, I would love that. My great-grandfather really loved horses. I'm not sure if that's where it comes from or somewhere else, because I'm telling you, in my family, well, except for one aunt of mine who does have them, no one else has, horses, mares, or anything like that. I'd love it. It's my dream to have one. And we have a small project for the near future about actually having hens.
And the bees.
And the bees.
Oh, that's good.
We want to recover.
That's good.
Also, the beekeeping part that we had, well, that came from my father.
You also had a beekeeping family.
On her side as well as mine.
Well, then you're going to be great at it. Let's go.
On my mother's side, they also had beehives, my grandmother.
That's great.
Yes, we often say we'd like a couple of little goats to eat the brush because in the end, well, there's a lot of land here, and if you don't take care of it,
You have to clear it?
you have to clean them. And it's not easy, nor is it simple, nor is it done that quickly.
And well, this is the front door of the house. The windows, well, everything is just like when we moved in, except for the living room window, which we had to replace because water was literally coming in when it rained.
And even the doors, just like it was before. I mean, this is my great-grandmother's door. They've painted it over the years, obviously. But look, we have a really cool photo. This was
Wow.
my great-grandfather upstairs.
Well, this really is a picture. That's amazing, huh?
This really is a picture worth more than 1,000 words.
You have to frame this picture. I have to tell you. You have to frame it and put it at the entrance of your house.
In fact, you can see the Horio.
Having photos back then was very complicated, you know?
We know that there are some photos that belong to a brother of my great-grandmother who migrated to America. So they came from there with a bit more money and probably
With cameras and...
cameras and so on. Some very old photos still look quite good because they had that option and resource.
That's good.
When they arrived, they could take pictures because of this man's daughter. Supposedly my grandfather.
Wow. This was many years ago. These photos are over 70 years old.
Just so you get an idea, my great-grandmother was born in 1911. And my great-grandfather, it's on the tip of my tongue because I always forget the number. I can't remember if it was in 07 or 08.
Wow. Wow.
So just to give you an idea.
Yeah, no, I'm catching up. What impresses me the most is seeing these photos.
In fact, the road isn't even there.
Look, of course, in this photo, the road isn't even there. In fact, it ended there. There wasn't much else, just the granary. The house once had a granary that eventually...
It collapsed.
Well, we'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
What happened to him. And what I like most is that during this time, despite everything, well, that they were humble people who in the end lived off the land and spent their days working and enjoying a little when they could, playing a game of cards or just a few things. I always do, and maybe that's where my grandmother got it too, decorating with flowers and so on, if you notice all. This whole entrance...
Everything decorated, huh?
And my mother remembers very well that everything was always full of plants and flowers.
They brought life and made houses feel like home, right?
Yes.
Shall we start?
Now be careful with the cats.
Yes, so they don't mess up my stuff.
So you also have a couple of kittens around here, like I do, right? Let's see.
Right now, in how many houses?
In how many houses with this layout? I'm amazed, girls.
And straight to the kitchen.
Yes, I'm amazed because you come in and it's straight to the kitchen, right? Very nice. I can see here that you have plugged in. Well, yes, plugged in. You have the little wood stove on, huh?
Oh, wow.
What is this? Does it give you life?
Yes, actually this summer we had to repair it inside and I still have to, for the channel or whatever, sand it and paint it again.
Okay, we should mention that you guys have open social media accounts.
Yes.
To encourage you to share your experience.
And to make us do things, because later...
Okay.
We are very comfortable, and even though we know that this needs to be cleaned, that things need to be done to it. In fact, the other day I cleaned this bar, and it's already full of crap.
Well,
But even though we know there are things to do, sometimes we end up so immersed in our daily lives, going up, going down, going to work, making food, waiting in line, and so on. It's like, damn, what I really want to do is fix this or do that. We often force ourselves, and ultimately seeing our progress is what stresses us most.
Also,
because when we see pictures of the living room now, which we've renovated, now it's like I can't even wrap my head around the fact that we've actually managed to do that, or how it was 6 months ago versus now.
You won't know your capabilities until you try.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you'd asked me years ago if I'd be doing these reports, people here see me as a professional, but I'm just a guy who enjoyed it and went out to the town. And you keep learning, you keep improving. You know, it's the story of learning. In the end, it's about getting started.
of course,
Knowing you'll have to get it done one way or another. So I'm very proud of you. I encourage you to keep going. I'll leave their social media links around here so you can start supporting them. And that way they'll also be motivated to continue.
And I want to say something, which is that for me to take the step to come here, especially when we were already thinking more seriously about coming, or even when we were just coming a weekend when we could finally find some free time every 8 million years, I enjoyed watching videos like those on your channel.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
They inspired me to say, wow, that's so cool, and more.
That's cool. I'd say, hey, look at that. Hey, I didn't really know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Look. I was noticing a detail, which is this thing, the gas stove, right?
Yes.
And the wood stove, this is very common in all village houses because you have to maintain it, you have to cut the wood. And I see that you already have wood prepared here to put in the little stove. This was a huge help. And that's why you still see them in these houses, because gas, you see, they have here exactly what we see in many of the abandoned houses I show. It's this layout, the little gas stove, the evolution to this. And in the end, it gives you a lot of service, right?
I mean, as far as I know, my great-grandmother didn't have a gas stove. While she lived here, it was always a wood stove. If you came here on August 14th with a heat that was unbearable and you couldn't stay here because the stove was on all day.
All day?
All day.
Actually, there's a detail we're missing.
Yes, we put it on today. I always say my great-grandmother had it here because she bought the cafeteria. It's very old.
I love it.
But she always had...
Retro.
Yes. He always kept a coffee coat inside, right? And how do we make coffee? It's all splattered around with...
Authentic. It's real life.
They say she kept the coffee pot warm here since the kitchen was hot, so anyone wanting coffee could get it hot.
How helpful they were, huh?
Yes, honestly, they really were.
I'm noticing so many details here, so I'll comment as I go. I see the old coffee grinder. This place is a real gem. Look at what they have here. The irons, you used to put them right here on top to heat up, and I imagine your grandparents and great-grandparents ironed with this. I mean, it's impressive. I'm also noticing this type of furniture I really love. I spent some time searching and found one like you had in the stable, and I'm going to restore it. I'm hoping to see if I can make a video about it. I've already mentioned it in another video, but I need to have time to get to it. And these are details that really make me travel. They truly make me travel.
Look, here's a photo that I really enjoy seeing. Here we have my grandmother in this same position.
Wow.
With the old table, having breakfast, drinking coffee or whatever. And just as the house was...
She would sit here, right? So for you, this image must come to mind every time you have breakfast here.
Plus, it's a photo, so it's a memory. I remember this gas stove because ours now is more modern, but I still remember that one.
It's right here in the same place. I mean, everything is exactly the same.
You can even see here that the oil dispenser is the same one we have now. This pot, we still use it. In fact, they must be the ones that are being washed right now.
That's nice.
This is the old floor with the little diamond shapes, I remember.
Like the one in my house? Yes, it's like the one in my house. Yes.
I remember these chairs like it was yesterday.
That's great.
I really like this photo, especially for its detail.
Who do we have here?
Here we have the troublemaker.
One of the family members, huh? I've heard about you. How are you, young man? So handsome?
Yes.
Did you bring this one with you, or did you rescue it around here?
This one, let's see, his sister, which is why he's here. She didn't want him. The mother gave birth to us there in the Karipa, which is an entrance to the house. And sometimes cats come in because a lot of cats come here. I mean, they stay here.
And
the cat gave birth to us and kind of kicked her out of the litter.
Come on, so you're good Samaritans like me, and you end up with animals because...
But everything at the right time. There were a lot of cats here, and whenever they fell, we always returned them to where they were with their mother and so on. And, well, like you said, not everything is perfect. Well, this summer we had a lot of mice. We had a real battle here day and night trying to get rid of them. Everyone keeps telling us, get a cat, get a cat. And I'm like, but how am I supposed to get a cat? I just remodeled the living room with my new sofa. Well, look, two, imagine two.
I mean, not just one, two.
If one wasn't enough, two. The rat didn't hide it from me.
If later we see it.
And look, here we go into the little living room, which is already quite small, honestly, but it's already functional, yes.
Yes, yes.
Here's another family member.
Ah, the little turtle you told me about. Look over here where it is. Wow, it's so big, huh?
Yes.
The truth is, she really enjoys it, especially when we take her out, because we try to take her out as much as possible so she can be outside. The good thing would be to have a pond outside. It would be cool to do a turtle pond project.
You guys will end up doing it, for sure.
I'm really scared of animals because there are a lot of foxes here, a lot of wild boars, a lot of predators.
Of course, and if not with dinner or...
Yes, we often let her loose, especially in the summer. She loves it.
That's great.
And she pulls in skates and everything?
Yes.
That's great. Hey, it turned out really beautiful. Of course, you've already fixed this part.
Yeah.
You can see you've added a modern lamp, some furniture, and the sofa.
We put in a new window because the one we had before, like Andrea was saying earlier, when it rained and the water came from this side, water would literally come in,
Into the living room.
into the living room.
To the living room, eh?
And actually, it all happened because we felt like the renovation started because we wanted to go to, well, one afternoon to take a walk at a shopping mall. We used to sit on that couch. I actually learned to walk in that little living room.
Did you learn to walk here?
Yes, that's where I started to walk.
So was this part always a hall?
Yes and no, because they tell me that it was, well, of course, this before a long, long time ago. These were two separate homes. The door you entered the living room through was blocked off. And Whiskey lived here, who was a relative that, well, what he did here was make cigars.
He made cigars?
He made cigars, that's what we've been told.
But to make cigars, he had to learn that somewhere else.
Yes, I think he had emigrated and then returned there, but I can't confirm it completely.
He had learned in Cuba or somewhere how to make cigars.
And he came here.
And he brought the business here.
And he did it here. So that then after he died, this man, it would open again like this door and so on. And from what I've been told, it was a bedroom at some point. Then it was a small living room again. And later, when my grandmother stayed here, it became a bedroom. In fact, when we came, the old sofa we had was in the kitchen, and there was a bed and other things here. When we scraped the paint to clean and repaint, more and more and more kept appearing. There were colors, there were like 4 or 5 different colors on the wall from the different lives that this place had.
Another cool thing to see is if they're lit up, you can see the back. As soon as you tap it, you see the story behind it. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's incredible. You see the wallpaper and another painting underneath. It really impresses me. Actually, something I'm seeing really impresses me, which is that here you have the living room, and right here you already have the bathroom.
The bathroom, yes.
In the past, layouts weren't planned like they are now. They were just made wherever they fit.
In fact, it's rare to have one. I mean, for example, in Valedor, the first house in the village with a bathroom was ours. And it was put in, I think it was my father or those people who installed it.
And a bathroom inside the house.
Of course.
It was something new. It was a luxury. Previously, you'd go to the stable or, if lucky,
To the meadow.
a meadow, or you'd use the bathroom outside.
Yes, of course.
For this
Something peculiar.
peculiar.
And she wanted to tell me, like my mother's story, that there was someone in the family that that even if you went to the bathroom, that you should go, that was normal, no.
That he wanted to go outside.
For us, it's normal to go have a toilet bowl and so on.
That's good.
Before, this was like, what is this? I mean, they give us a bathroom with jets to people who don't have bathrooms with jets, and we say...
It's like, what is this, right?
Exactly.
That's good. The bathroom is still humble and probably still being worked on. These houses always have humidity problems, right? Since people didn't study foundations before, I'm experiencing issues in my current rental, especially with the mountain right next to the house. This area is likely on the ground, which causes the dampness.
Yes.
You'll have to deal with dampness now, which is also part of the project, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's going to be a bit complicated.
Yes, it's complicated because also, well, that's it. I mean, no, we don't have detailed blueprints of the house or directions on where to go.
It's scary to touch them, yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. That wall, and really the whole room, is chipped away, as you can see on the channel. But I remember the day he came, well, I was crying at home the day he started scraping this whole wall. Water seeped in so much that touching it made the cement sink beneath you. I remember Andrea showing it to me since she was there most often. I was working. She was already spending more time at home. When I got home, I cried, feeling like the house would collapse on me.
It just seems...
Well, I was going crazy.
You start digging and the hole just gets bigger and bigger.
The day my uncles came to dig, I went upstairs pulling my hair out, saw them and thought it's going to collapse.
I'm telling you, it was worth it because, well, if you let me open the window, just look at this. It's wonderful. I mean, being able to look out the window and take in these views. I can even see livestock in the field across the way.
Yes.
That's great. Impressive, huh? I also want to hear the story of this small house in front of us later.
Yes.
It's super funny because it's like an imitation of yours. But I imagine it also has a story, right?
It has a lot of history.
Tell me later. Tell me later. About that topic, look, I'm going to make an appeal because a lot of people watch me and sometimes a lot of people want to help. Since I know it's very complicated, that you are young and all that, I'm going to make an appeal to anyone who can help these girls to solve problems like dampness on the wall or even leaks. Have them message your social media accounts I shared there. I'll include all the info in the description so they can contact you and advise on removing it, since even after painting, the dampness returns in 4 days.
Yes.
It's just inevitable. This happens to me at home. I even use primer, but it still falls off. The problem is with the back, the wall, and so on.
We literally have the land right behind us.
I know, I saw it when I came and it caught my attention and I figured you were going to have some little problems with this issue. So I'm reaching out for advice on this wall issue to ensure it's resolved and doesn't recur. It's disappointing when the paint peels and flakes off again. Well, hey, it would be welcome, right?
Perfect, perfect. Tilers, female tilers, everyone.
And anything I can help you with, I'll do it through the channel.
Well, very good. Thank you, Alvaro.
I'm really amazed by something else. The thing about the door we talked about earlier.
Yes, of course.
And the old staircase.
Yes.
Hey, these stairs deteriorate over time, right? They're made of wood. I imagine you also run into some problems with the wood in the house, right? Structural issues.
Well, it has a lot of termites. Actually, in August, which is when they come out the most, you find them everywhere. Also, there's natural wear from the house being so old. The wood hasn't been touched since it was first installed. Well, the natural deterioration that wood has as it ages, plus the termites and, in this case, the mice that would get in.
Ah, well, that's it.
It's covered so they can't eat them.
Look, they get in through there for you, through this poor wood. But for me, they get in through the stable door because it's not as good as this one. I have to tell you guys, you have a door. Impressive, huh?
There's one thing, and it's that we have a trick here because they did get in under the door.
Ah, okay, because for me...
And we put the...
Okay. My small door needs replacing because it's worn out. I have the same issue as you.
This door, yes, this one isn't worn out. It looks pretty good. It's sturdy. We want to keep this one 100%.
Your ancestors made it with care, I'm telling you.
A very curious thing that's always told at home is that this screw, which is like the lock that makes that you can... I can't close it now, but with that big thing we added, it closes really badly. My great-grandparents didn't have this. My grandfather put this in later after my great-grandparents were already old. Once my uncles came and said, let's see, they used to leave the stable and everything open. It's just so... You don't have any security measures or anything like that. I mean, as you can see, there was no fear at all, nothing.
Story, huh?
She's the one showing us now, I mean.
Notice this detail. The phone you still have. I love it. This is legendary. Go ahead.
But the toothpick is even better than this phone because it doesn't close. It won't hang up, so you need to use the folded toothpick.
That's great.
We usually answer on speakerphone because otherwise it's impossible.
That's great.
They're a show.
You adapt. You do it very well.
Yes, no.
Total naturalness.
And it's going to take a while there while it works, and I'm not going to change it.
Total naturalness.
Let's head up if you want.
Come on, go ahead. No, I'll follow you.
Here you have to be a bit careful with certain pieces of wood.
Yes.
Still testing, right? I see you've already made changes here.
Yes, my mother decided that was a good place to put her foot in, literally.
So your mom stepped there and made a hole?
She made a hole, and the neighbor came and changed it for us. He had to add another screw for us because the tabo, well...
In fact, it still wobbles a little.
Yeah, right?
It wobbles, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but it used to wobble a lot more. I mean, it was pretty dangerous.
Well, look how tiny these rooms are, huh? Back in the day, this is really striking because the rooms were super modest. I'm going to stand over here because otherwise we won't all fit. They were super tiny, very similar to all the ones that, well, you see in my videos, right? It's nothing different from...
It's nothing new.
No, in every room I entered, there was a closet, a bed, or sometimes only the bed.
Yes.
Do you remember who slept here?
From what I understand, Andrea, the one with the cat, used to sleep here.
Ah, you have the hamster here? Yes, the hamster. Okay.
There's everything in this house.
Wow, look at him. He's doing great there. Look at him. He's doing great there.
My grandmother's sister used to sleep here, from what I understand.
Your grandmother's sister.
And like you said, problems, solutions, these closets. No, here they had the legendary one to close, which didn't close, and like the slats move when you walk by, it would open. You closed everything, but it always stayed open, so when we weren't here out of season, mice would get in. You'd arrive to find all your freshly washed sheets and towels covered in droppings. Time to wash everything again.
That's it.
Back to the same struggle again. And well, look. Now.
Good solution.
Do you want war? No one can open this now.
A good solution, and you also made use of the closet so you didn't have to spend extra.
Yes, because this one also doesn't... We had others that were really humid, and you could tell when you put the clothes in, you put it on, and it felt like you had just put it in, so it was really bad. This is the truth for now. The service they provide is perfect.
Isn't it great to look through here?
Yes.
And see nature, the yard you have down here. How wonderful, really. Another thing I notice is when you enter a room from that room, right?
You go into another one?
You go into another one?
If you notice in what we discussed in the village above, this is the same door as before.
Yeah.
We had the same door, really moth-eaten. You can see here all the dust.
In old houses and everyone who...
Yes, yes.
Anyone who has one knows that's true. There's no...
Our friend, she's already old news. And here we enter what is our room.
How cool.
Funny and curiously is the smallest one.
Well, hey...
We don't sleep in the master bedroom, precisely because when I was little, yes, of course, I mean, because of the view it has, and it has 2 windows. I mean, that's the best thing about it.
It's wonderful.
But this is where I slept as a child. When my parents collected honey, we stayed here, and I shared that other room with my sister.
That's nice. It brought back memories for you.
Yes.
And you decided...
I told Andrea she had to sleep in this room. We got used to it, and now no one wants the other one. We all stay here. The other one's just for guests or something.
Very cool. I see that here. Is that vent from the kitchen?
Yeah.
Of course, this gives you heat in the room.
Of course.
Everything was planned ahead, huh?
Yes, yes. Honestly, it was really good. The house was set up since the kitchen vent runs through all the rooms. It doesn't reach only the one we just entered, this small one, and the bathroom. Still, this one heats up nicely because of the heat rising up the stairs.
Of course.
So the truth is that the house...
It's very hot, isn't it?
It's pretty warm, yes. If you acclimate it well, no. Or I have to be in short sleeves. I mean, finally.
Let's hope the electricity bill doesn't come.
Well, if...
That means we have to cut...
Come on.
The firewood, right? That's it. Let's go.
Hey, that has a tax too, you know?
Yeah, but...
I can't recall when we first started cutting. Oh my God.
It's harder to pay for it?
Oh, yes. But no, honestly, very good. Very grateful.
Hey, thanks for this tour of the house, because not everyone dares to show it to me, you know? Thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for just being yourself, right?
Yes.
Just like real life. This is reality. Besides, these girls have only been here for a short time, relatively speaking, and they're doing everything they can and making the most of the opportunities, you know?
This is actually the couch we used to have in the...
Wasn't this the one you had downstairs?
Yeah.
Because of this living room?
Was a mess, right?
Yeah, it was horrible. When the sofa arrived, there was suddenly plenty of space in the downstairs living room, and that was the day I started walking.
Of course.
So this sofa is almost as old as I am.
Wow, it's really cool too. Look, I just love the windows, the views they have, you know? I'm telling you, it's amazing, man. How cool looking out from here. You can't really see it though. Back there in the distance, I'm going to zoom in for you. You can't see it well, but the little cows are over there. Lying down. Impressive, that's amazing, huh?
Of course.
And here, I mean, do you use it for guests or...
For guests, it depends. A friend always sleeps in that room, and Andrea's sister usually stays there too. And here too, well, she prefers to sleep in this bed since, honestly, we don't really mind about this bed. We love having people at home. We love when people visit, when they sleep over. We like the house to be a place to share.
Yes.
So it's not just for the 2 of us to be alone. We love having the door always open for anyone who wants to come. And that's why we also love living in a house so much. Because in the end, especially now with... Well, not now, but in the summer, being able to go outside, to eat outside and so on, gives you a lot of options.
Hey, you're the other hostage, not bad. Man, look, with a little house and everything, it has a room just like mine, its own room.
That room, really, that one of theirs?
Yeah, I can see it now. Look at what a cute little house it is.
I've chickened out.
How can you be so nice? Look at you. Look at those colors. And look how charming you are.
They're siblings from the same litter?
Are they from the same litter?
And she's the reason why they're both here.
Come on.
Her mother already rejected her. And in the end, we couldn't say no to her. She was just a little ball like this the day she came to our house.
Animals choose their owners.
Yeah.
So you can't escape from that.
Because besides, it was all very... It was just the moment. I mean, a series of coincidences linked one after another so that this exact moment would arrive. Look, but we also want to show you from here, we have what used to be the old Kuripa.
The Coripa is where the Gochitos go for those not from here, right?
For the gochos.
Where they kept the pigs, the gochos, the hogs, which have many names. I'm not sure why they're called that, since pigs are actually among the cleanest animals. People may keep them in filth, but they're actually some of the cleanest animals. That really amazed me.
Well, they used to have this little space. Now we use it more for storage. But anyway, you can even see the old feeder and everything here.
These tiles are great. I really love and notice this detail. 1894, man. I mean, it says it right there, you know? 1894, huh? So many people who must have stepped on this, your ancestors, right? If this could talk, these are things...
I would love for it to talk.
Like that stone we saw earlier, right?
Yeah.
Impressive. These things are just... Who spent time making and carving it, huh? That energy captured in the carving.
Why they did it then, what they were doing, everything. And look, you said before that it was the little house. We have it right here. It's just that...
It's a beautiful mini house.
In fact, we call it the little house.
I would live there, you know?
One of my aunts, well, for a while it was set up as a mini attached house section with bedroom and more. When my aunts, grandparents, and others visited for the summer, the house couldn't fit everyone.
Of course.
So 2 of my aunts lived here. I mean, they lived, slept, and everything.
Like in the Horeo.
Yes.
People often lived and slept in the Horeo. Single men would go there.
Look, well, we also have this as a pure and simple storage. There are many things.
There are many antiques. Look at this.
Yes.
There's some wool around here. Oh my, man, this is a gem, huh?
Yes.
Wow, you have real treasures here, don't you? I'm telling you seriously. I just arrived and already found 2 treasures.
And even though it's not obvious at first glance, the wood you see is all original from the old granary that belonged to the family.
This wood.
They were from the granary.
They were from the granary.
And the beams?
You can see this one very well, which belongs to the Horeo.
That too. Yes, this is it. It's true. The Horeos also didn't use nails, and this is where the wood was inserted. They were assembled, so those marks are from that process, not because they're broken. They're like that.
My grandfather was a carpenter, and he was very, very, very handy with absolutely everything. And the granary was falling down, and he decided that before it completely collapsed and everything, well, something had to be done about it. He built a small house reusing wood from the granary. And to check its effectiveness and to make sure it was well built and nothing would happen, she knew it perfectly well. To show her family and everyone else, she drove the car inside.
Well, look at this.
To me, this looks like an amazing photo.
Look at this. What a photo. So this is your grandfather or your uncle?
This is my grandfather.
Is this your grandfather?
That is my grandfather.
What a nice car he had, huh?
My grandfather wasn't from that town. My grandmother was from that town, but my grandmother was from a village. You can see from here, from a part of Pones, you can see some houses from that village.
That's nice. One thing that amazes me too, to flip out means to be amazed. A lot of people ask me, but what does flipar mean? Flipar means this. To flip out is to step onto this balcony.
Yeah.
And be able to take this in. Nature, a lemon grove.
A kitten.
A kitten down there, which is very far away, but there's a kitten there. There are cows. The landscape, I mean, this landscape, you'll tell me about it later, right? You must be thrilled, right?
Yeah.
To be here.
Yes, actually, we really love sitting here doing nothing, just watching life go by.
Even when it rains, we sit here and we watch, we see the rainfall. I don't know.
Yes. Over here, we have what would be the patio. Although right now it's a bit, well, you know, kind of wintry.
Ugh, with everything that's coming our way?
Yeah.
Still raining and windy, huh?
Yeah. Well, what we have here is just, you know, a couple of planters and so on. Before, well, this whole area you see here used to be much cleaner and so on. Here, actually, there's concrete. Even though right now you see weeds and so on, we need to do a bit of cleaning. That whole area over there, it's all of this is full of plants. My grandmother loves them. She loves plants. And I remember that when I was little, all of this was full of Well, plants with flowers too.
How cool.
And actually, I remember once when I was really little, well, little, I must have been a few years old, a green lizard appeared like this. And I remember watching it like, here's the lizard, and
It was very, very common.
yes.
What a beautiful place your grandmother must have had here. Is there any photo about it?
Yes, Andrea has them somewhere around here.
That really catches my attention. Don't worry, because I'm noticing another detail while she's looking for it. I'm seeing another detail over here. It's this area right here. Did you build this wall yourselves, or was it already here?
No, this was already here.
I mean, it was all here?
It was here, yes. The only thing we've done here is to fix up this whole area a bit so that, well, it gives us some brush. Right now, we've kind of lost the battle. Here we have rosemary and other plants. And there's something I really like is that this bay tree, well, every time we came, the weeds had grown back again. So come on, clean up again, clean up again, clean up again. In fact, you can see they're covered again, even though we live here. There are small floor tiles, and I was the one removing the layers with the pickaxe. One time we were here cleaning, and Andrea was struggling with a plant here. I thought it was just some weed, nothing more. And well, Andrea was there hitting it over and over, and I was just here next to her, just watching her do nothing. And the laurel hurt me so much, so much. I looked at her and I was like, stop, stop, stop. Stop, that's laurel. And I liked it because my grandfather gave my mother a laurel tree, which she planted on her other property. And for me, it's been kind of
That connection?
like, yeah, like in the end, whether you like it or not, it was a way out for me. With the classic saying, coming out of the closet to the family, in the end, he's going to tell his partner, who is a woman, well, what would he think? Well, my grandfather, for example, he never got to see that. What would everyone think and what would happen, etc.? What would they think about us wanting to be here now, reclaim the house, build a life, and have children, just like they did in their time? Being able to do it ourselves. And the day the laurel appeared here, which is also, now we found there was a laurel far over there. I mean, hills, I walked all over the hills, yes. At that time, there wasn't a single one here, so it really moved me to see it sprout again on its own. And actually, I don't know how to do it because I want to keep it. I don't want to lose it. It's a bit of a complicated place.
Yeah.
But it's there, and having this laurel means a lot to me.
That transplants really well. They're very tough, you know?
Yes, but we saw its roots are deep, so honestly, I'd be really sad if it died on me.
Yeah.
But oh well.
I see you also have this water.
Yes. We have two taps. One comes from a pipeline, well, from our own spring that's a few steps up there on a hill, which is the little spring. And then the other one was a pipeline that was built later because one year the little spring dried up. It stopped giving water, and this time it took many years to have it again. We had to bring water from elsewhere, which is why we have two sources.
That's great. It's water your ancestors channeled.
Yes, and the neighbors talk about it a lot, and it was also, well, imagine like 40, 50, 60, even more years ago, maybe even now, I don't know, with pick and shovel, literally.
With pick and bringing the water, right?
Of course, and putting in the pipes, and from up there, making the drains, everything. I mean, in the end, it was a job that even today, I think there's no one you could tell to do it or not do it. I mean, it's not feasible. I mean,
It was something necessary at the time, and either you did it yourself or no one would do it.
no one would do it, exactly.
This was a luxury then, being able to say that. I assume water still comes out.
Yes, this is the main supply water, and this is from the little fountain.
Impressive, impressive, huh?
Until recently, we drank it. In principle, the water is drinkable, especially from the little fountain since it's pure. I mean, the one we have there is 100% natural, and that's it, very good.
And here we have the photo.
Of how this looked before.
Oh, handsome. Wow. It's just that grandmothers, like I said,
Yeah,
what we said before, right? They gave things the feeling of home.
yeah.
They made sure you felt at home when you arrived, right?
And that we have everything, which is the one of the stone you have to explain.
We'll explain now. Oh, that must be my grandpa and grandma. My grandma is still with us, but my grandpa's gone. He was the one who built the little house and drove the red car, among other things.
That's nice.
He was a carpenter.
What a beautiful image. What does that stone mean since it's still there?
Yes. Before we get there, I'll tell you that everything used to be reused. If you look closely, this is a sewing machine.
Ah, yes, Singer, yes. It's a Singer table, made for the garden, right?
Yes, it's been here a while. I remember it from before.
I think it's where the photo was taken, the table that was in the
Yes.
photo we just saw with flowers on top, right?
Yes.
And this stone, what does this stone mean to you?
In the past, the house wasn't where you just saw it. According to what we've been told, the house was over there, somewhere around here.
It was over here by the palm trees.
I can't really tell you. We know the granary was there, and the house would have been somewhere around here. And yeah, that was a very, very old house. I mean, my grandmother already has, I think, very few memories of what the house was like and everything, because later on, that's when the one we just visited was built. And this, according to what we've been told, is the main slab that the house had. When you entered, this was the slab. And that was something they did in the village when they built the road. Well, they just stuck this big rock here. Here it is. My grandmother used to fill it with little flowers. So, well, another future project is to fix up this land and be able to have it. Well, in the end, it's a way to honor our ancestors who, in the end, well, that's it. I mean, these are stones that they probably dug up from here. These aren't imported from anywhere. They come from digging, taking it out by hand.
Work it and use it for something.
So I really like having it here, honestly, and seeing it and knowing that, well, you know, how many people have stepped here.
Yeah, thinking about those who were here and also thinking the primitive house once stood here, but now there's nothing. You'd walk by and see nothing, though it was here before. And the granary was there. Do you have any picture of
Yes.
about the Horeo? This area caught my attention. Can you exit through here?
Yes, but I can't bend down.
Never mind. Let's go outside if not.
No, wait.
Can you?
I'll look for you.
Yes. I'd like to show this image here, which I imagine where this wash house is now. If the house was around here, in fact, there are remains of stones around here.
The granary must have been right here, exactly.
On this slope.
Look.
Do you have a photo too?
Yes, there was the granary. That's my grandmother's sister.
I mean, this literally ended right here.
Yes.
Yes. The granary was right there, yes.
That's my great-grandfather and the older one with the cattle.
Having this photo of your great-grandfather, this is a luxury. I'm telling you honestly that.
Yes.
Imagine having a photo of a Horeo that stood here over 70 years ago before there was even a road. I mean, you have gold there in that photograph, huh?
We even have more gold. We have another photo here of my great-grandfather, and here you can see it's exactly in this area where we were. It was the end of the road. There was nothing beyond that.
That was already Kalala.
Exactly. Maybe not. I mean, by day's end, everything.
Bosque, incredible.
I don't know, but...
What a photo.
Very well done.
What a beautiful photo, really, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Alvaro, I'm going to introduce you to our neighbor, who I think is the memory of the town.
Yeah.
And, well, let him tell you a little about life here.
Well, I really love this, honestly. First of all, thank you for welcoming me here, because they told me that you had... What's your name?
Jose Ramon Moro Fernandez.
Jose Ramon Moro Fernandez. How old are you?
90.
90 years old? Well, you look really good for your age, huh?
Huh? Yes, I'm going to turn 91 on April 17th.
Wow, you look great for your age.
Thank you.
They told me about you, saying you're the living memory of this place and knew all the ancestors we remembered in the video. Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you a few things, mainly what life was like here in the past.
Very, very tough.
Very hard, huh?
Yeah, look, there was no road here. There was nothing. Everything we did was on foot. The transportation was donkeys or horses or something like that. For example, to go to the market, you had to go to Pravia and you had to go by donkey. There wasn't no road or any other means of transportation. So, well, I arrived in Pravia, which was about 7 or 8 kilometers away. And the people, well, if you didn't have a donkey, you had to go and bring what you needed yourself, which wasn't much. It was carbide, maybe a little oil. Whether it was cheap or expensive, not even then.
Yeah, right?
And then, well, I'm telling you...
yes, it was a very hard life.
Life was very hard.
How many people were there here in the village in the old days?
Well, there were 4 in Brigida's house, 4 or 5.
5?
5, huh?
My great-grandparents, my grandmother, the sister. 4? What am I saying?
There were 4 and the 2 aunts. Yours?
Look at that memory, huh? Yeah, he nailed it.
4, Fermina and Florentina.
Of course. Yes, 4.
6.
Well, for the older ones, I don't know if...
Always, yes, I knew all of them.
Of course.
And your great-great-grandfather was Ramon, right?
Yes.
He was the best person in the world.
Oh, so you remember him as a good person?
A really good person. I remember he'd always say, "Come on, let's go to the Corrender Inn," and call us all over. And we all gathered like that. He was there singing some songs and sharing stories since he spent much time in Madrid. And he, like I said, he was a wonderful person. We all loved him like our own father or even more.
That's nice.
Yes, yes.
Roughly how many people lived in the village?
Well, there were, those who were there at Brigida's house, who were first the married couple and those two, and Brigida's father and a brother who brought him the whiskey.
Yes, they told me about it and showed me where he lived and everything.
And then, and here they were, a married couple who, an old countryman I never met named Garabiel, and then the children who were Valentina, Julio, and Delphine.
So you remember them all, right?
Yes, yes.
So how many were there in total? Around 20 or 30 people in the village?
Well, we can count them if we include those of us who were kids. There were 2 at Brigida's house, 3 here, 5 and 6 of us.
A little less, look, a little less. Yes, yes, it was a tiny little village.
11, yes.
And to school, where did you go?
Back here it was a school.
An old one that was there, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. Such memories, huh?
Yeah, right. Remind me, we had to walk up when the meadow was really wet, for example. In the summer, we had to go up the street here, up this way. It was really bad.
Look,
And like that,
when did the road get here?
the road got here when he died, when Kiro died.
Kiro, 30 years ago?
Well, 30 years ago.
Only 30 years, huh?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Well, the star went from here up because from here down it was already there. It was already there because we, the neighbors, had opened it.
Ah, you neighbors did it, huh? That section, right?
Yes. And then the city council, God records it for us. Well, they record it there. I mean, they save money from there.
Yeah, to make the path a little more solid.
And well, that's how we kept fixing it until later. The principality they opened from here up, expropriating because they wouldn't permit it to be opened.
Yes.
They expropriated and opened from here up. So when the very year that Kira died,
Yes.
that's when it was completely opened and they paved it and set it up differently.
I wanted to ask you the most important thing of all, which is, what do you think about having 2 young girls again? I mean, young people here in the village when you already thought that the houses would never be lived in again?
Well, look, I'm delighted. I'm happier than ever.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, they're really good girls.
They're really nice. Honestly, you have to admit it, huh?
Yes, sir.
She's here, can't sit because she pulled her back and walks like me. Poor thing, her back is messed up.
I'm also having trouble here with my kidneys.
Yeah, and besides, this weather doesn't help. This humidity doesn't help at all.
With this, it's cold like this. You can't do anything.
So you're thrilled, huh?
Of course I am.
Would you encourage people to come back to the village again?
Well, look, I'll tell you something. For me, an apartment is like a cage.
I think the same feel,
Yeah, sometimes
the same, they look like beehives.
look, the one who works, for example, who goes to work and then comes back and goes to sleep or lies down or whatever, and it still happens. But for an older person, an apartment is already like putting a bird in a cage.
Of course.
Because there's nowhere to go out. If you go out, it's all asphalt.
Yes. Yes, there's no freedom or nature.
For me, living in the village, even if it's like a cage in the mountains, is much better than the best apartment in Madrid.
What a great phrase. What a great phrase.
Yes.
Hey, well, thank you for welcoming us here and for answering these questions. Also, I see you're in very good company. Look, the fire is burning over there. You have such a wonderful warmth here, huh?
Yes.
You are delighted here?
Yes.
Well, nice to meet you, and thank you so much for telling me the stories.
No need to thank me. It's nothing out of this world.
Well, thank you very much. Well, family, I hope you really enjoyed this story. I wanted to share it on the channel because I think they're genuine girls doing something we should all do, revitalize rural areas. Girls, before I go, I want to thank you for welcoming me into your home, in this incredible environment of your ancestors. And I would like you to send a message to all those people who are thinking about changing their lives, who are stressed, who would like to carry out a project like yours but don't dare to. What would you tell them? What has this place given you? What is an old house needing restoration teaching you?
Well, the only way to overcome fear is by doing it. Me, I'm a really fearful person. Everything gives me vertigo, the future. For me, it's a big unknown, but it is possible. Even if it's little by little, even if it's, well, today we put up a panel here, and tomorrow we'll see how we handle the rest. It can be done. We must not let our be lost. Our rural part, our real part, because in the end, we all come here. Everyone comes from some ancestor, whether closer or farther away. We all come from the countryside. It's a shame it's being lost. That the legacies, I always remember the ladies who used to clean the windows of the houses. What would they think today if they saw their house falling apart? And I think it's something we can't allow to happen.
Well, yes.
And
What has being here in contact with nature brought to you? What's the most important thing it's given you?
Well-being, tranquility, also valuing yourself, since you do things gradually, and you also value yourself, like, wow, look at what I can do, what I can achieve with my own hands. That too.
to connect in a slightly different way, because, I don't know, it's like you put, for example, when we were building the walls of the house, doing it with our own hands, the mixing the materials, being there. I forgot the word. Showing off the walls and all that. In the end, it's a moment where you just say, wow, since you rarely reconnect with that. And you're not that close to, well, you know, the earth with the garden. Like, now I get dirty, now I look for this, now I eat what I'm harvesting from my own garden.
For me, it's mainly about connecting with my ancestors.
Yes.
To bring back to life something that was so hard for them to build.
Yes.
And that nowadays is so common, right?
And so
many images like those at the start of the video.
yes.
That so many stories are lost, right?
Yes.
Here we've at least left the story of your family and many ancestors.
But we are the 6th generation and still going.
Very well. I'm really glad. Thank you so much for welcoming me like this. I'm going to leave your social media links again somewhere around here so people can follow you, support you, stay with you through the process, and motivate you not to give up. I know there will be tough times, but you can get through them. I'm signing off now. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll leave my social media links here as usual so you can follow content I don't share on YouTube. And I'll see you next Tuesday.